Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Tuesday edition of the JP Peterson Show as we are still in post-mortem mode of the Bucs loss to the Detroit Lions. Oh, it still kind of hurts. I watched the replay last night, Tim. I watched a little bit of the All-22, and it hurts even more. It hurts even more. Good morning to you, my friend, IndyCar Tim from our DSP affiliate in Dallas. How are you, my friend?
I am doing well, freezing my tushy off here in Dallas as it's a balmy 31 degrees and rainy outside.
Yeah, we haven't seen the sun for quite some time here.
Kind of like the
Cowboys.
Cowboys and Bucs seasons, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we got family members of Cowboy players tweeting about Dak now.
It's so great. I love it so much. I love it so much.
It's the ultimate reality show there in Dallas, you know.
You got your star wide receiver's mom calling out your quarterback. What the hell?
That's fantastic. That is fantastic.
It's crazy, man.
Did you hear about the Purdy Brady thing?
Yeah.
Oh, we got to get into that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't believe this, but I can believe it.
But you can, right? Yeah.
But you can. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even Buck Basement is on already. I didn't even see this. I'm so like out of the Rays mode right now. So the Rays did a press conference. All right, I'll find out about that and we'll crush on them. But we'll get to that. I want to get to the Buccaneers and Lions. I know it's been a while, but I digested the tape last night, and you learn a lot of stuff about. You go back and watch everything and see certain things, and we're going to talk about it in terms of moving forward. What do we learn from this particular game? What do we know about the future of this team? Where are they headed? Who are they bringing back? Why? Who should bring back and who they should not, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll do it with an eye. We're going to hear from Mike Evans and Tristan Wirfs and Todd Bowles from yesterday. Just talking to, and I think it advances the story, which is what we're trying to do here to what comes next. And I think the Bucs are in a very, very interesting and I think in some ways envious position. And I think we have to look back at what we know about this league and what wins in this league, which is continuity, right, Tim? That's what wins in this league. Year in and year out, building on what you've already done, getting better each week. This is, one of the greatest lessons I took from Tom Brady is just this incredible infatuation with getting better every single day, like building on your successes, learning from your failures, and becoming a better team. Great mantra for life as well.
Sure.
But I just saw how they really dug into that. And every season is a different story. Because of the personnel changes, because of the injuries, because of the different matchups, what's going on with other teams, the teams that you're playing. Every year is different. But if you look at what you do poorly and you continually try to overcome that and fix those issues, you look what you do well and build on those strengths. Then you become a better football team by Thanksgiving, and then you're rolling into the playoffs, and then you're the best version of yourself. If you're trying to survive every week and just trying to win that particular game, which is obviously the goal every week, right? We play to win the game. But there also has to be an eye on, getting better at certain things. And if you're getting better, then you're giving yourself a better chance to win. Again, it's process over scoreboard, right? Sometimes you might not win the game because, a ball got fumbled through the end zone. You had some bad luck here or there. The other team made some great plays, which was definitely the part of what we saw against the Lions. Yeah. You tip your cap to them. But you also have to learn, okay, how can we, how do we defend that? How are we better in that moment? And I think the Bucs learned a lot of incredible lessons, and we'll go over that within a little bit more detail. Scott Reynolds is going to join us at 10:30 from the Pewter Report. TJ Reeves will join us, Bucs sideline guy, in our second hour as well. And your comments, love to get from questions. If you guys still have questions about the game, please let us know. We'll go over all of it. I think it's, we got a whole off season to get to the Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield, all that stuff. So I still want to kind of circle around the game a little bit, what we learned, because it was a historic game. It's something, there are just, moments in that game that could have flipped the game. In the end, Detroit is a better football team. I mean, I'm pretty confident in saying Detroit is a better football team. They executed their game plan to perfection. So if I'm saying, were they a better coach team? Yes, they were. They were the better coach team. They executed well. I thought, there were some key moments in the game and key parts of the game. And I think one of the biggest reason, we said this going into the game last week, being able to beat the blitz and protect against the blitz is going to be key on both sides of the ball, because Jared Goff is very good when he's not pressured. And when he is pressured, he's not very good. So, but he's good against the blitz. Now that sounds like a bit of a dichotomy. The blitz has to get home. And the Lions do a phenomenal job of recognizing where the blitz is coming from and then exploiting it. First of all, protecting and then exploiting it, where the Bucs did exactly the opposite. When there were 4 or 5 edge blitzes that stopped drives, there was one particular one that came off the edge. Hutchinson hits Baker, never had a chance. The hot route was probably to Godwin, and Baker didn't see it fast enough. So some of this is on Baker. Some of this is on the protections, and that takes you out of field goal range. That's a possible 3 points. There was another one that Branch came from the side and stopped Rachaad White for a 5-yard loss on first down. Now you're 2nd and 15. That basically stopped that drive. There were 2 other edge blitzes that kept the Bucs from scoring points and getting into that scoring area. So those were 4 or 5 critical moments where the Bucs did not recognize the blitz, did not take advantage of it, and that's a huge part of a game in basically a 1-score game. Now there was a 3rd and 1 where Brock Wright gets out, right, and that was the Bucs finally brought a blitz, and Kendall Gill engages Brock Wright like he's going to block, and then he just lets him go. Now, was that Kendall Gill's guy? I don't know. He doesn't play a lot. That's and you got Laporta coming on the strong side, and Goff is looking at him the whole way, and it's just that looks like the play. It's 3rd and 1, right? But he just plants his foot, throws it backside, and Wright's wide open. Here comes Neal. Now Neal may have been the guy that was supposed to cover him as well. That's a huge possibility, but of course Todd Bowles won't point any fingers, so we don't know. So we have to guess. It's either Kendall Gill's guy or it's Ryan Neal's guy. And Ryan Neal comes up, overruns the play. Like you're a 6'3", 220-pound safety. You can't break down and stop a 280-pound. You can't tackle a tight end right there. He jukes you out.
He overran a lot of plays.
Yeah, he's horrible fundamentally. Just like Devin White, horrible fundamentally. And that's a 31-yard game. It leads to a touchdown. That's a huge play in the game. Once again, the blitz not getting home. The Lions being prepared for it, calling the exact play you need to call, taking advantage of the weakness, either Kendall Gill or Ryan Neal. And boy, Ben Johnson targeted those weaknesses all game long, but they executed the plays too. Phenomenal job. So those edge blitzes on both sides. And we mentioned this yesterday, and it's even more so when you go back and look at the tape. The Bucs continually in big spots rushed for and played zone behind it. All of those balls that were in the middle of the field were against zone coverage. And it's when you got 2 linebackers, spaced out in the middle, you got guys curling in behind them. It's pitch and catch. When you have no pressure, when you rush for it, you get no pressure. One time in the game, Kalijah Kancey beat his man quickly and got a sack. One time. You probably rushed forward and played zone probably 20, 25 times. And that absolutely crushed you. Every time they threw that ball in the middle, it was against the zone mostly where the linebackers are spaced out. It's just when you have a good rapport with your receivers, like clearly Goff does, and you know exactly what's coming, it's pitch and catch. And I said this last week. You need to just keep the pressure on. Now, would Goff have beaten them in man-to-man? Probably. They probably would have made some plays. But if you go throughout the game, almost every single time they played man, the Bucs made the play. Jamel Dean had 3 pass breakups. Or it was an incompletion, or Goff had to make a perfect throw, and there was a great catch like on the touchdown to Amon-Ra St. Brown. If they beat you in that way, you tip the cap. But what you can't do is just sit back and just let them dump the ball down right in front. Linebackers sprinting out to 15 yards deep. You just dump the ball down to Singletary or Gibbs, and it's a free 12 yards. You just and this is and I heard Todd Bowles say this, and we'll hear from him say we didn't play smart. Well, the zone is supposed to take care of that. But guys got too deep. They didn't make the right reads, whatever. Not playing smart. Don't call the zone. That's the not smart part. You can't play it. You haven't been able to play it all year long. And especially against this particular team, it was a death sentence. And it showed up on the tape tremendously well.
Yeah, I mean the same thing. It's coaches' inability or unwillingness, I don't know which one it is, to either adapt to what's being presented to them. Yeah, that's a perfect halftime adjustment.
Yeah,
is look, dude, we're getting torched on zone. We got to play more man. Same thing happened with the Cowboys. I mean, they didn't play zone all year long, and for some reason, Dan Quinn, who may be that new head coach of the Seahawks, decided to just stick with it, and it wasn't working. And I saw the same thing with the Lions and Bucks. They were getting torched in zone. And didn't adjust, and I'm sure we'll get into it after we talk a little bit about Bowles. But I have some thoughts on Todd Bowles.
Good. I'm going to run his press conference here, and then we'll get to some other stuff. And then, we mentioned this yesterday, but a further examination at the end of the game. The Jared Goff bonehead play. He's snapping the ball with 16 seconds left on the 40-second clock in a kneel-down situation.
Yeah.
Twice. They did it twice.
Gave the Bucs almost gave them a chance.
When the Bucs, the math worked out. So once they take a knee, you're kind of, I don't know if the I've seen this before. When they get in the kneel-down situations, the entire coaching staff leaves the booth and they head to the elevators to get a jump start and get down. Because it's usually academic. Nobody's going to screw this up, right? Mario Cristobal.
Talk to Mario Cristobal.
Yeah, but guess what? Twice they snapped the ball. Once with 16 seconds left. I think once with 11. So that when there should have been any time left, the Bucs had a timeout and 35 seconds left in the game, and you would have then forced a field goal of 48 to 49 yards.
It's insane.
How do you indoors? I get it, but this is Michael Badgley. This is not Chase McLaughlin, who's relatively perfect, and he even missed one from 50. All right, it happens, folks, in this league. And imagine the pressure for the holder and the kicker and the snapper. I mean, normally in a regular season, that's an 80% probability. This is not the regular season. This is pressure-packed playoffs. You have got to make them make that play. And to not do it, and what are you taking the time home? I mean, we said this all year long. I think he got a bonus for every timeout he took home, which was a lot of them. A lot of them. He took a ton of timeouts home at the half and at the end of the game. It's unbelievable. This is, again, coaching malfeasance. You have to make them snap that. They just screwed up. And then, the fact that, oh, wow, what do you mean? We got to snap the ball now? Goff just screwed up. So now the whole narrative changes. Is there people on the sideline going, oh, crap, we screwed this up. So now the snapper's going out there, the holder's going out there, the kicker's like, oh, shit, I didn't know. I was already, I had my stuff off.
My cleats were off.
Now I got to get – all this is going on, right? Should be. But no.
It's exhausting, man. It's exhausting.
Looking up, there's a timeout. Come on, man. Come on. I mean, there's just no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that. You've got to take advantage. Somebody's got to be paying attention. Look, I know it's a long shot. Are you going to win the game? You get the ball back with, probably 29, 30 seconds left after the kick. But for God's sakes, you're selling out.
Stranger things have happened.
In the world of football. So, and there were, I'll just, at this point, it'd probably be good for you to jump in here on the Bowles front. Or you want to play the,
let's play let's play
the first 3-4 minutes from yesterday. I'll tell you when to shut it down. There's a couple of points that I wanted to hear from Todd Bowles here. This is yesterday's press conference.
Morning, guys.
I don't know if you look back on tape as actively in the final game as you would most weeks, but just what stands out to you when you look back on the way things unfolded yesterday?
We fought. I thought we made some mistakes in the fourth quarter. They got the game away from us that we normally didn't make, and we fought hard. We didn't play smart in the fourth quarter.
Can you elaborate on that in terms of what area, not pointing the finger at players, but just what areas you feel kind of unraveled for you?
The areas I would point out would be pointing the fingers at players.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Can't have that.
We cannot have that.
Just
'Cause
the
they're
fight and the effort.
pros,
Those
they
guys
can't handle
stayed
it.
together. Proud of the coaching staff. Proud of all the departments that took care of the players. Equipment staff, trainers, nutritionists, strength staff. The building completely came together as a group. It was enjoyable to come to work every day. And everybody worked hard. Everybody worked hard to have a hand in this. Sorry we couldn't see it through, but very proud of the effort everybody put in.
Towards the off season, this is kind of your first off season, with some cap room and some financial flexibility after, obviously last year and your first year. What are you looking forward to? It's kind of putting your own stamp on this roster.
It's a little early right now, still getting over the game a little bit. We know we got a lot of decisions to make, some tough ones here and then some outside on the horizon. So hopefully we can get some better guys in here and continue what we've been doing and get better next year and go further.
When you look at these two games against the Lions, Jared Goff wasn't affected as much as you probably would have wanted him to be in terms of getting sacks and pressures, and then didn't throw an interception either. It's just kind of a situation on defense where you tried to play coverage, rush forward, didn't get enough, or if you blitz him, he's really good at picking apart one-on-one matchups.
No, we did a little of both. The biggest thing was the underneath coverage. Like I said earlier, they didn't get as much. They got out late. Going into the fourth quarter, we held them down pretty good. They started making some plays in the fourth quarter, give them a lot of credit. They got a lot of talent. Some things we didn't do as well in the fourth quarter that we did well the first three quarters. But he's a great quarterback. They have a very good football team, and the better team won yesterday.
Yep, they did.
Lavonte turns 34 tomorrow. Can you just speak to the level he continues to play at? If the business side worked out, would you like to have him back?
Love to have him back. He's one of my favorite players I've ever coached. Don't even look at his age. He plays timeless. He plays timeless football. He plays it the right way, prepares the right way. He's the ultimate professional.
How would you characterize the season that Devin White had?
It's probably up and down. Some injured, up and down like our season. We had some good days. We had some bad days, and I said that about a lot of guys that played that way.
We've talked a lot about the national and outside expectations of this team compared to the optimism you had in-house, but there were very real financial limitations on this season in terms of how much of the cap was devoted to old contracts, how much space and flexibility you had to add players in the spring. How does this success, winning a division, winning a single playoff game, compare to what your reasonable expectations were for this team?
As a coach and as players and competitors, you don't even look at the money. When you put a product out there, when you go to work every day, you're supposed to win. That's how I'm built anyway. That's how we're built as a team. Regardless of how much money you're making, you're supposed to do the best job you can coaching. They're supposed to do the best job they can playing. And we figured if we did that, we'd give ourselves a chance. And we gave ourselves a chance without even looking at all that. I understand in hindsight that may play a role in everything, but that's not how we looked at the season. and we played that way. We played that way and prepared that way, and that's why we probably got as far as we've gotten. So I don't really look at that. That kind of takes care of itself. We understood going in what it would be, but that wasn't an excuse for us to be bad.
All right, we'll end it there. And that good on Todd Bowles for saying that, and that's exactly what this team did. So for all those that are giving excuses for Todd Bowles and the things that didn't happen this year, that's from his own mouth. But those are realities. Teams with that much dead cap space don't make the playoffs. They don't have winning seasons. They don't do any of that stuff. Of course, usually they're not in a division this terrible. All that being said, it's a tremendous success, and Todd Bowles needs to get full credit for keeping this team together, playing as hard as they did at the end of the season. I mean, there were some dips, the Saints game, the Carolina game. There were some unexplainable things in there. And at times this team just plays really, really dumb. And at times, I think he's not aggressive enough, and we begged him to be more aggressive in this game. And I think that lack of aggression cost them. But in the end, I think Detroit was just a better team. They probably would have figured out how to beat you anyway. But again, you got to call the timeout in that situation. His time management is just, it's abysmal. And it continues. That was an issue with the Jets. It was not great this year. Now his fourth down decisions, I think, got better this year. They were more aggressive, and he had some success with that. So that full applause for that. And just getting to the second round of playoffs. I mean, that's a huge, huge get for him. But I still think there is a ceiling on this coaching staff. I don't know if he's a guy that can put you over the top, but he's definitely a guy that can keep continuity going as you build that roster towards a championship caliber team, much like Tony Dungy did in the first Super Bowl. So I think there are definitely some similarities there. You got some good young defensive players that are coming on in Kalijah Kancey. Yaya Diaby was injured in that his shoulder. He couldn't push off. He just couldn't make any moves. So I think that kind of led to his kind of downfall in the second part of this season. I think he's going to be a really good player. You've got some pieces here to work with, but you definitely need to get some hits in free agency. And you got to keep, I think you have to keep Baker Mayfield and Evans together. It's the continuity that will make this team better in year two. And as TJC says, I don't get too far ahead, with Dave Canales, I don't know what people are saying around the building, but from just a few conversations last night, Canales went from a like you want to know more guy to front runner in Carolina. Thoughts on this? You know, Dave Canales said that he had his preparation already done for his first head coaching interview. And I can tell you, it was impressive. It was probably extremely impressive to the Panthers because that's the kind of guy he is. He comes across that way. And because it's authentic, he's a super smart guy. He's got a lot of charisma. I'm sure they were impressed. I don't think he's ready to be a leader in that way, but that's just my opinion. What the hell do I know? The Panthers not going to have the cream of the crop to choose from. So they may have to go after kind of a diamond in the rough, and he looks like one. There ain't no question about it. And if they lose him, it's not a death knell. Thad Lewis has probably learned a lot about this offense. They can keep the same offense and keep it going and keep that continuity going. So I don't think it's a death knell for this team if they lose Dave Canales. So you should still have the continuity going with the players, which is the most important thing. Stick with the same offense. I don't know if you want to go outside and bring in a whole new offensive coordinator. Depends on who you can get, though, right? There's a lot of different things, but continuity with the players is key. And you got to keep Evans, you got to keep Baker, you got to keep Godwin. Palmer's emerging as a third target. I like to keep David Moore. I think he's got some juice left, and just up that offensive line. Get another explosive running back, aka a Jahmyr Gibbs. That guy he's a freaking difference maker.
That's awesome.
But what are your thoughts on Todd Bowles, Tim?
So, we've had various conversations about Todd Bowles throughout the season, right? And some of them positive, most of them not, especially in mine. I'm not a Todd Bowles fan. Personally, great. Yeah, I know you know him, and he's a great dude. None of this is personal. We talked after the Texans loss early November.
Yeah.
And in my mind, it was almost a given that he was gone.
Yeah.
That there was going to be a change at coach, and I felt like it was necessary.
Yeah.
Then you went on a little roll in November. You lost to, was it the Colts, I guess, late November?
Yeah.
Bad loss.
Yeah.
And again, okay, well, you know what? There's got to be a head coaching change. Well, then you rattle off what they did at the end of the season. Overachieving, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
In a bad division. But regardless, okay? Don't blame them for winning a bad division because that's
right.
The hand you're dealt, right? I mean,
right.
You can only play who you play, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because of that run they went on at the end of the season, I feel like his job was secured, right?
Yeah.
And now you go into the playoffs. You win a home playoff game. You beat a really bad, dysfunctional Eagles team, but it doesn't matter who you beat. You beat the team you had to play. Doesn't matter. And then you go in and you play a very, very competitive game against, in my opinion, a much better team.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, coaching-wise, I think Dan Campbell is maybe one of the best coaches, and I'm not just saying this because obviously they're winning, but, from a motivational standpoint, from a get the most out of your guy standpoint, one of the best, top three in the league at doing what he does. So now you've gone to the divisional round, and I feel like you were out coached. I feel like you had some issues in that game where you, again, clock mismanagement. We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of got into, as a coaching staff, the same mess that you had early in the season, right?
Yeah. Looked very similar.
And you were
the defense was terrible in the second half.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
And you were still in a position to win the game.
Yeah.
Very late. It was a game.
Yeah.
So now, because of that, Todd Bowles is going to be here for another year. And you know what? Rightfully so. He earned another year at least.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know what his contract situation is, but he'll be here at least for another year. Now, what happens if the team comes out, lays an egg to start next year? If they start 1-4, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have the same coaching issues, clock mismanagement.
Yep.
Being just flat out being out coached like we see in Dallas on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, they'll address that, I'm sure, at the time. I don't know if they're into firing coaches midseason, whatever. But for all of the dysfunction that I feel like Todd Bowles had in the regular season, look what they accomplished.
Yeah.
And that's full credit to him. Now, personally, if I'm a Bucs fan, I don't want him back. I don't, because you're going to go through the same thing next year that you went through this year. You're going to get outcoached. You're going to lose a lot of games you should probably win, but you're also probably going to get more out of guys than you should at the end of the season. And you just have to hope that the start to the season, you could build a lead over Bill Belichick and the Falcons.
Yeah.
Over the Saints.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You're still in a bad division.
You're still in a bad division, and that probably saved his job.
Yeah.
But you know what? Kudos to Todd Bowles for what they accomplished. Full credit to him. It's one of those things with it that every team deals with.
Right.
When you want to change at the top, but yet they're winning. So well, why do you want a coaching change when they're winning? Well, because you see things, right? Like it's
right.
There's a way there. So that's just, again, he earned another year. I'm just not sure that's a good thing for the Bucs.
I think that is a fair criticism. Absolutely fair. And I share a lot of that with you. And my feeling now is, and we'll get Scott Reynolds on here in just a second to get his thoughts, is that, this may not be, this roster may not be Super Bowl ready. I don't think it is. Even one good draft, they're going to be young players. I still think you're another draft free agent class away, clean up the cap space. You're probably 2 years away. So if Todd Bowles stays and you have the continuity, and you keep, and Canales stays and you keep building in a bad division, you probably win another division title. You get to the playoffs, some more experience. I don't think it's a terrible thing. I don't, 31 teams are losers every year. 31 teams are losers. And if your team's a loser, let's blow it up. No, you can't do that. It's a build. It's a build. And this is part of the build. Again, Tony Dungy didn't win that Super Bowl, but he built that team. He built that team that won the Super Bowl. So maybe we're in the same situation now. Maybe Todd Bowles continues to build this team. And, when in 2 years, who knows, there's another coach that comes in and lights the fire and they win a Super Bowl. Who knows what the future holds? But I think right now in this coaching cycle, who are you going to get? There's eight teams looking for coaches, right? It's unless the Glazers have already struck a deal, and I don't think Todd's going anywhere. I don't think they're looking for him, nor should they. So it's not time to change. It's time to come together. And I think it's time to bring everybody together. Bring Baker back. You have an identity now. You have an identity. Is it the Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen? No. Man, look at the Bills. They ain't winning. It's hard in this league to win a Super Bowl. It's really hard. But you've got the ingredients to keep winning and keep building, and continuity works. So bring Baker back. And Baker's the reason you won a lot of these games. I'm just going to tell you. He makes mistakes, absolutely. But he's got the guts and the onions of a burglar. I mean, he just does. All right, so we'll talk about all that. Let's take a quick break. Scott Reynolds is going to join us next. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Get your free case evaluation, folks, by going to the website. if your car has been totaled and you think you got a raw deal, you may have left some money on the table. That's right in their wheelhouse. If you get in an accident, let the Jeeves Law Group take care of you. You'll get that personal attention you richly deserve. They are local offices in St. Petersburg and in Tampa, so you can go to either one of the offices and see your attorney face to face. Try that with one of the big law firms. Tough to do. Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Back at 3 with Scott Reynolds. Stay with us. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays, get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio.
Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you had the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well, so do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Quick story about my doctor, Chris Lugo. So my testosterone shipment got delayed for who knows what reason these things happen. So I had, a couple weeks without a shot, so I said, I'll be over there in Tampa on Saturday. He's like, oh, come by my office, 6 o'clock, at a wedding I was going to. And he said, sure. So he shows up, gives me my shot. I'm on my way. Your doctor do that?
I don't have a doctor, JP.
Yeah, probably you need one. You need one.
I have several doctors, but yeah, none of them would do that for me.
Exactly. And concierge medicine is where it's at, folks. Don't just accept 15 minutes with a doctor who really doesn't have time for you or care about you. You're just a number, which is what corporate medicine has become.
Just a file.
You can use your insurance to get with specialists, but have someone directing your overall health that knows who you are, your actual name, what you do, what your personal goals are, your nutrition and all that. And it makes all the difference in the world. It's that personal attention. Everybody is different. Every body is different. One size fits all medicine does not work. Does not work. And get somebody with a modern mindset as well, not the old Western medicine thinking of just writing a script from Big Pharma. And that's Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Go to Chris Lugo and you can get your appointment right there on the website. Speaking of Chris Lugo, here's another happy customer, Scott Reynolds of Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Good morning to you, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, definitely recommend Dr. Lugo.
Yeah. So
not a paid endorsement either.
That's right. That's right. So I was pouring over the tape last night, the TV replay and a little bit of the all 22, and you come out of it with, man, the Bucks were so close to winning this game. It was just a few plays difference.
Yep.
And you credit Detroit. They played well. They
Absolutely.
executed so well on the key plays, and the Bucks did not. They did not. But they were in the game, and the fight of this team, the togetherness of this team is impressive.
It is.
So lots of good stuff. But lots of bad stuff too. No, I should say lots of, but some bad stuff that you kind of leave that going, man, could have won that game.
Yeah.
Could have won that game.
If I'm Todd Bowles, I tell my team, my Buccaneers, that's us next year. Right.
Yeah.
Because the Lions went from 9-8 and just missing the playoffs, right? They came back hungry and they won 12 games. They won the NFC North for the first time in their franchise history. They have 2 playoff games at home, right? That was the difference. I think you put that game in Tampa, Buccaneers might win that one, right? I mean, they were in it 17-17 to the third quarter, right? So momentum is real. The home crowd certainly fueled the Lions, right? They were in a frenzied pitch the entire game and maybe helped push them over the top in the fourth quarter. But I think if I'm Todd Bowles, I say we made the playoffs. We won the NFC South. We can't be complacent. Don't think about what we did. Think about what we didn't do. We didn't finish the job, right? I think that's got to be the message, because for all these rookies that show up and NFC champion or NFC South champion, my first year, made the playoffs, won a home playoff game. This is easy. It's not.
No.
Just ask Dan Marino how easy it is.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And that has to be the message of Levante David and Mike Evans and Will Golston. And I think that's what they were telling them prior to the Eagles game, then probably after the Eagles game. It's like, this doesn't happen every year. This is not guaranteed. It does not show up and win the NFC South. That's not how it works. And so you had a very hungry Lions team that were so close and didn't make the playoffs with a 9-8 record last year, and the Bucks made it with an 8-9 record. That shows you how screwed up the NFL is. But I hope that Bowles says they played perfect, they played great, we played not so perfect, we played very good, and very good doesn't beat great any day of the week.
Let's talk about some specific things. First of all, the timeout not being used at the end of the game. I'm not going to get crazy about it, but it's just criminal. That's negligence, and I don't know. Sometimes when the math is right, you just expect the other team to snap it with 1 second left on the clock and take it down. And they didn't. Goff made 2 grotesque errors. One was 16 seconds left on the clock. I think another with 12, and it left you with 35 seconds. You got to call the timeout. You got to make him kick that football. You got to make him do it.
You should. That's for sure. I'm with you on that. And me personally, and I understand the whole 2-point conversion crowd, all that stuff. I would have gone for 2 at the end rather than when they did, because momentum is real. It's not something that analytics can gauge and measure. And I think that's why the analytics crowd, and I'm not knocking them, but it's like they have a bit of an air of superiority. We'll look at the numbers, look at the math, and it's like, it's not always that way. This is football. This is not math, right? There is math in football, no doubt about it, right? But the thing is when you look at the fact that the Buccaneers missed that 2-point conversion. And I think that deflated Tampa Bay to a degree. And I think it gave the Lions some momentum because they had 4 minutes and 37 seconds left in the game, I believe. And they were able to pick up 3 first downs. And 2 of them were like boom, boom, like 15 yards, 11 yards. And that gave a little bit of momentum boost to the Lions. And it gave, I think the Bucs came out on defense a little deflated right now.
Yeah.
The exact opposite is true. Like you have to admit that if the Bucs had gotten that 2-point conversion, then maybe the Bucs defense comes out a little, energized, and the Lions, 6-point game, and the Lions offense might come out a little tight, right? There's that scenario, but it didn't work out that way. And the Lions did their job, even though they didn't finish the game on offense. They used more than half the time left. Tampa Bay got the ball left with a minute 59 seconds deep in their own territory. So the Lions did their job. They picked up some first downs, kept possession, forced the Bucs to call some timeouts, and then used field position to their advantage and made the Buccaneers have to drive the long field to try to get a touchdown and then a 2-point conversion. I'm just so much more in favor of not chasing points. I think you kick the extra point, right? And
fair criticism.
And then if you want to win the game, go for 2 and win it at the end. But put yourself in position to win the game at the end, not have to potentially tie. I mean, how heartbreaking would it have been if Tampa Bay had scored that touchdown and then needed a 2-point conversion to tie the game, and then they miss it, and then they're 0-2 on 2-point conversions.
Ask the Lions about that.
Yeah, when two automatic extra points get you to overtime.
Right.
Yeah.
With just Chase McLaughlin.
And listen, there's no guarantee that you win it in overtime because I think that the odds for underdog on the road is 44%, but you still have a chance, right? And sometimes
and the pressure mounts. So I think 2 calls there that you roundly criticize, and then just strategically in the second half, Scott, the zone defense, it's been shredded all year. It never works. The Bucs don't know how to play zone. The middle leaves the middle of the field wide freaking open. It's taking candy from a baby. Now, does that if you play man, does it ensure you win? No, but you got to make a throw. You got to make a throw and you got to make a catch, like the touchdown pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's a great throw by Goff. I mean, Zion McCollum's in good position. You tip your cap. All those plays over the middle that just gobbled up 12, 18, 16, 17. They're freebies. They're absolute freaking free with no 4-man pass rush. One time with a 4-man pass rush did they get home, and that was Kalijah Kancey. Right. And it got a sack and it got him off the field. Yeah. It wasn't going to work.
17 pressures by Tampa Bay's defense. 11 by Kalijah Kancey and Vita Vea. The outside linebacker position, Yaya Diaby, Shaq Barrett, Anthony Nelson, who did leave the game injured, Cam Gill, right? Those guys were invisible.
Complete no-shows.
Right, and yes, Barrett did have a sack that was negated by a Carlton Davis penalty. Too little too late at that point in time. But my point is the outside linebacker position has been a letdown this year with the exception of the late emergence by Yaya Diaby and
then he got
Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. Yeah, and he was playing hurt. And Joe Tryon-Shoyinka was also a no-show. So that's a position that has really the last 2 years, by and large, let the Buccaneers down. Remember, last year Vita Vea led this team in sacks with 6.5, right? Yeah. So brutal. Yeah, so I and listen, there might be a time when Kalijah Kancey's the leading sacker on this team with 10 or 11 from defensive tackle. That's okay, but you have to have more pass rush consistently. You've got to have the threat of we can rush 4, and our outside linebackers, one of those guys is going to pressure, hit, sack the quarterback, especially on a third down, and they just don't have that regular, consistent pass rush.
You got to blitz, so you got to bring blitzes. I mean, it worked so well last week, and they hardly did it at all this week. Why?
Jared Goff is incredibly quick at reading the blitz, and he was the second most blitzed quarterback this year, and did a really good job against it. So maybe Bowles said, "I don't want to poke the bear." Maybe he had some shell shock from the Matthew Stafford, incident with the Rams. But I'm one of these guys that's kind of like if you're going down in the gunfight, man, you got to empty both barrels, right? It's like you got to take out if you're going to die, take out as many as you can.
Exactly.
While
You
you're in the process.
know you're not going to win with that zone behind.
I agree.
Especially when you're getting lit up like you were with the zone, right?
Yeah.
Like I would think that's an
that was the
in-game
thing.
adjustment you can make.
That was the thing. There was no adjustment. There was no adjustment from
None.
Bowles. As great as his game plan was, and in the different ways he attacked the Eagles, passing game as well as shutting down their run, he had no answer for Jared Goff. And I wrote this in my 2-point conversion column yesterday. Jared Goff is the puzzle that Todd Bowles has yet to solve.
So true.
And you know what? Guess what? Look at the schedule next year. Hadn't come out yet, but they're going back to Detroit to play Jared Goff and the Lions again next year.
And they're in the NFC and they're not going anywhere.
That's right.
You got to figure it out. You got to figure it out.
And if the Bucs are going to be as good as we think and maybe hope they're going to be, and I don't expect the Lions to take a step back next year. So you might have to face the Lions twice next year, just like you did this year.
And looking at the offensive tape, Baker was so good at the end and made some great throws. The one to Godwin on that last touchdown drive was fantastic. The two to Evans were fantastic. He missed a few. It's going to happen. I thought he missed a couple of blitz reads that he could have made.
Especially the outside blitz, man.
The outside blitz, man. Especially when it's on your front side. You got to see that.
Yeah.
So I thought his play was good but uneven. The two picks, the one pick first, Evans has got to have that ball. That's Mike not getting his head around quick enough. We've seen that. And the last one was a complete force.
Sure.
On second down, you can't make that throw. You cannot make that throw. He was never open at any point. You're getting pressure. Again, their pressures worked. Their pressures worked. And the Bucs pressures did not.
And boy, if you're gonna throw a contested catch ball, don't do it to Cade Otton because he's not that guy, right? If you want to body him up, Mike, give Mike a chance with those long arms to box out or reach out and grab the pass, but not.
Or Chris is great boxing guys out too. But not Cade.
It just and see that's what I mean by momentum. Momentum is real, right? It's like the Buccaneers felt the pressure. The Lions applied the pressure, right? The Bucs were on their heels. Their offense was on their heels. The Lions were in attack mode. And granted, they're up, a full 8 points at that time, and they're playing at home. So that's what I'm saying. It's like momentum can affect the way you play, and it can affect calls, and it can affect timing and rhythm and everything from pass sets, right, to get off, right. And the crowd noise when you're the home team can amplify and bring you even more momentum, can give you that extra 1%, 5%, 10%, whatever on any given play. And that's why you typically see Jordan Love throw across his body on the road, trying to make a play desperately. And the same thing kind of from Baker Mayfield. It happens. Like that's not the only time that's ever happened. As a matter of fact, it happens a lot.
Yeah. And you talk about momentum, Scott. The Bucs had a lot of opportunities to apply pressure because it's not like the Lions are a seasoned playoff veteran team, right? Like they're new to this too.
Yep.
I mean, I know Goff's been to obviously a Super Bowl and has some experience, but Campbell's a young coach. The whole staff is young. You had a really good opportunity on the road to put all of the pressure on the Lions, especially with as close as the score was.
I agree.
And I feel like Bowles and the staff didn't go for the jugular. Right?
I agree.
It's funny because we talk all season long and criticize him about not being aggressive enough at times, and I feel like it all culminated in the game, against the Lions because you had opportunities to put all of the pressure on the home team. Nobody expected the Bucs to win.
Yeah,
and you're that close, and you don't do anything. To put the game away.
Yeah, I mean,
it's frustrating to watch.
I would have maybe considered going for that later in the game for sure. I vehemently disagreed with the analytics crowd on Twitter. It was like 4th and 1 at the Bucs zone 34, trailing 10-3. Like there's analytics say go for it. It's like
go for it.
Absolutely not, because I mean you're talking about a road dog. All it takes is a bobbled snap. All it takes is Cade Otton stumbling out of his release, an errant throw by Baker Mayfield, and you are giving the Lions 3 points just by turning the ball over. Now it's 13-3. If they score a touchdown, it's 20-3. Game over. Okay,
Yeah.
So you can't take that risk in the first quarter.
I agree.
And it's like, that's the thing. It's like they take these numbers, they throw them in a computer, and they take these scenarios, but it's like, are they factoring in it's the first quarter
Game
as opposed
flow.
to the fourth quarter? Right?
Yes.
Game flow. Exactly.
Game
like
flow. So important.
That's why there's no computers and no robots on the sidelines with headsets on, right? It's people making those decisions, getting a feel for the game,
right?
Going sometimes with your gut instinct, and sometimes your gut says take the risk, and sometimes
you have a play or two that is going to work against a certain defense. You got that in your, you've scouted it. There's a certain weakness that you see, and you're very confident you're going to get it. That's when you should go. But at that point, I would agree with you there. Dude, there was some spots in this game, like when Palmer catches that ball on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
He's a full yard ahead of the marker.
Yeah.
And the ball comes back and it's a 3rd and 1.
Yeah. That's egregious. Yeah.
What, how does that even happen? And Baker makes an unbelievable play on the 3rd and 1 and runs for 14.
Right.
But my God, what and
well, I mean, the refs read
challenge.
The script said Lions win. So that's what they're trying to do.
And there was, Chase Edmonds had a spot that was 2 yards short of where it should have been. I mean, there were 3 or 4 spots in this game where I'm just like, what planet are you dudes on?
Yeah,
that was a weird officiated game.
It was. The Trey Palmer one was certainly suspect for sure.
And the OPI on
Jesus
Christ.
Yeah. Well, not just that, but you could even make a pretty good argument that Melifonwu was playing Mike Evans and not the ball, right, on that 2-point conversion. So
absolutely. And Mike's got to sell that per Chris Collinsworth. I agree with that. You got to stop and let him run you over.
Yes.
If you keep it backing up, it's going to be an easier non-call.
Yeah.
You got to sell it a little bit, but still, that's a foul. It's a foul.
Exactly. You have to stop, let him run you over, and you have to hit the ground hard.
Yeah.
And maybe even like come up grabbing your shoulder or something. Like, I got trucked on this play. Where's the flag?
You do.
You do.
It
Yeah.
counts.
And again, there's no robots calling this game in terms of referees. They're human beings. How many times have we seen in just all of our years watching football, right? The receiver, the tight end, the back, whoever, get up and just do this, right? Get so exasperated that the human element takes over and the ref's like, oh God, all right, yeah, fine. There's your flag, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what kills me about sometimes the Buccaneers. Mike does a good job of it. I think he's the only one sometimes that will really bitch and moan to the officials about that. And I think there's some times where it's like, well, they didn't catch the ball, and they fouled me, but we're on to the next play. And man, it's like,
it's not just sell it. It's not just jumping up and selling it. It's getting the contact. If a guy's going to run through you, you can't be falling back. You got to make the contact more demonstrative. And I think that's a nuance.
Mm-hmm.
It's a detail. But it makes a difference, and it can make a huge difference in a game. And there was another call on Otten on a 3rd down play where I forget who it was. 31 is standing over him, teabagging him. Yeah, he's teabagging him over, and he's taunting him. That's the tape that the ref shows in the preseason when they come to visit us and says this is going to be called every single time.
Except in the playoffs against the Cinderella team like Detroit.
I mean, that's a huge call. Yeah. The Bucs would have had a 1st down at the 50-yard line. Instead, they ended up punting the ball away in the 4th quarter. That's a huge no call there.
But if you're a great team,
I know
the calls don't matter, right? Because you're playing better than the refs are calling the game, and that's what Detroit did. Detroit played a perfect game. They didn't turn the ball over. Jamel Dean probably should have had that interception. That's 3 points right there, right? Chase McLaughlin missed. He's a reliable guy. It was a 50-yard kick. You can't fault him for it, but he missed it. Awful time for that first miss this year, but it happened. So there's 6 points right there, right? We can go pick and choose some spots about this game, but ultimately Detroit played better. Yeah. And the film says that. It wasn't like the Bucs got robbed or jobbed. It's just that Detroit played as close to perfect as you can, and Tampa Bay didn't. And that was the difference in the game. And again, I think the Lions are a year ahead of the Buccaneers. Ben Johnson withdrew from some of the head coaching searches last year. He wanted to stay with Dan Campbell, get another year's worth of seasoning under Campbell, finish what he started with Goff in this offense, which took a big stride this year.
Yep.
Remember, Jamal Williams, the running back, led the league in touchdowns last year, and they got rid of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
They blew up the running back position. They brought in David Montgomery, who was a 1,000-yard rusher. They drafted, after signing David Montgomery, getting rid of Jamal Williams, they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs with, I think, the 12th overall pick.
12th overall pick, yeah. One of those picks they got from the Rams, I believe.
Yeah, he had like 945 yards. So you combine the two, that's
fantastic.
That's a pair of 1,000-yard rushers that you have, right? And they're a year ahead of the Bucs. Aaron Glenn, one more year of that continuity on defense, right?
That's right.
Aiden Hutchinson in his second year, right? He had an even better year than his rookie year. So I just think that with Bowles and Canales and Baker Mayfield, if he comes back, I think he will. Mike Evans, you bring back the top five: Evans, Mayfield, Winfield, McLaughlin, and David. And then you add another good, impactful draft. Remember, Jason Light in this front office, they found 10 starters in the last two drafts. I mean, if you get two starters from any draft class, home run, right? They found, on average, 5 each, right? And that's including Trey Palmer as wide receiver number 3.
And they're all good players. They're not. I mean, there might be a couple Pro Bowlers in there, maybe. But you got to have those drafts, and then you sprinkle it in where you need to. So I agree. So in moving forward, I think you're all for and I made this point, about Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy didn't win the Super Bowl here, but he helped build that team, and the continuity that he brought to this team kept those building blocks building each and every year. As that defense got better, the offense not so much. But then they had a lightning bolt come in, and John Gruden that fixed the offense, and boom, you win the Super Bowl. So in this coaching cycle, there's a lot of movement that's going to be out there. Continuity is where you want to be at right now. Are there better quarterbacks than Baker Mayfield? Yeah, but I don't know who they are, and I don't know how you get them. So you draft a quarterback, you have no idea what he's going to be. Michael Penix at 26, you have no idea. You know what Baker is. He fits your team. Your continuity with Evans is tremendous. You keep building and you keep building, and I think that's where you go with this.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of drafting another quarterback, not in the first round. There's more pressing needs. You need a starter from your first round pick, whether it's interior offensive line, whether it's a safety like Cameron Kitchens or
edge rusher,
or Tyler Nubin, right? If you want to draft a playmaking wide receiver, maybe Brian Thomas from LSU, that's fine because Godwin's entering a contract year.
Agreed.
I love Chris. Don't know that he is the fit in this offensive scheme that he was under Bruce Arians, where he was working the middle of the field and operating out of that slot. So I don't know.
Agreed. I think there's a lot of different needs you can go, and you're allowed to take the best player available who's going to make an impact at any of those positions because you have a pretty solid roster. I mean, I think we all know that edge rusher is the number one.
It's huge
priority.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, I agree. And in picking a 26, there's going to be a couple of guys. They just have to choose more wisely in the Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, right? Who's more athlete, I think, than instinctive football player. But there's some guys that I think are going to be there and that have a chance to come in and start. And I like some of the younger guys in this team. Jose Ramirez, from all accounts, did a really good job in the practice squad. He's a developing player. Maybe he starts off as that number 3 or 4 guy, kind of competes with Anthony Nelson. I think Yaya Diaby is certainly a starter. Shaq Barrett is going to be released this offseason. So you're looking for another starter. The placeholder may be JTS, who is in his contract year, year number 4, on the depth chart right now, right? Because you don't have anybody else. The draft hasn't started. Free agency hasn't started. So right now it's JTS and Yaya Diaby. And then Marquise Watts is a guy that I think has more upside than Cam Gill and probably should have got more playing time down the stretch. I'd like to see where he can develop. He's a very exciting young player. He and Ramirez can be fighting for that situational pass rusher guy that comes off the bench. So I just think finding another guy for the long term, it's no secret, right? Shaq Barrett in his prime, JPP at the end of his prime, Jason Pierre-Paul. got this team
Monsters.
to the Super Bowl just as much as Tom Brady and Gronkowski did, right?
Absolutely.
So you have to have that. I know it drives Todd Bowles nuts not to have a double-digit sacker from the outside linebacker position. As much as Todd Bowles loves to blitz, you love the comfort and the safety of being able to rush four and still provide some pressure. The other thing, too, is they really have to take a look at their secondary. The reason why I mentioned Newbin and Cameron Kinchins, both of those safeties are known for taking the ball away, right? They had 13 interceptions this year. Not a bad number, but they only had 9 from the secondary, right? Will Golston had a pick.
Freaking ball.
You know, Shaq Barrett had an interception. Devin White had 2. One of which was in self-defense, the Jalen Hurts interception back in week 3, right? So
and then ran away from the quarterback.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, it's like you can look at 13 interceptions. Okay, well, only 9 came from your secondary. Carlton Davis is not a reliable interceptor, and I think he might be gone this year.
Yeah,
Jamel Dean, very inconsistent hands, right? I mean, you saw him with the easy drop in the end zone there. Winfield, you can pencil him in for 2 or 3 every year, just like John Lynch, right? That's kind of John Lynch's thing. But Zion McCollum had 15 picks at Sam Houston State. He has the ability to do it. We haven't seen him do it. He dropped an end zone interception against the Saints on Christmas Eve.
Yep.
They've got to find another guy in that secondary that is just a thief.
I'm
not saying like you got to get 31 interceptions like Tampa Bay did back in 2002, which is a untouchable franchise record. But you have to have a defensive back that is capable of getting 5 interceptions, right? I mean, Carlton Davis, he had 4. Yeah, he had 4 in 2020, which was during the Super Bowl season. If you remember Sean Murphy Bunting, as hit or miss as he was, he had 3 interceptions, right? In 3 consecutive games against Washington, against New Orleans, against Green Bay. You've got to be able to take the ball away in the playoffs. And I'm not surprised that they beat the Eagles without doing it, although they did have a safety and a turnover on downs. But, if you look at the Lions, they had 2 big-time interceptions, and Tampa Bay didn't have any. And that was just as much as anything the difference in this game. So however they do it, they got to find somebody in that secondary that is a threat to take away the ball, because you're not going to beat Jared Goff without forcing him into turnovers.
You nailed it again, Scott Reynolds. Appreciate your time as always, this season. And we got a busy off season coming up, so we hope you'll stick around with us. We love your work.
Next week, we're going to be in the Senior Bowl up in Mobile, Alabama for Senior Bowl coverage. But as soon as we get back, we'll be happy to jump on and talk about some of the prospects. I mean, hey, Yaya Diaby was there at the Senior Bowl.
Right.
He was a guy that really caught our eye. That's why we put him as a Bucks best bet at outside linebacker in our draft preview.
Ding, ding.
And they took him. So
you guys are fantastic in the draft. So pay attention to Pewter Report all week long. Give him the old content tease here, my friend.
Yeah, pewterreport.com. We have stories up about Rachaad White, who's pissed he didn't get 1,000 yards. Read that story on Pewter Report right now. KJ Britt, is he the next inside linebacker replacing Devin White? We'll see. As well as well, Devin's not coming back. As well as our podcast, which now in the off season are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern on Pewter Report TV. That's our YouTube channel. Just over 13,000 subscribers, so that's awesome. And you can also find us on social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report.
Thank you, partner. Appreciate it.
You got it. We're talking 2 weeks.
Great. Scott Reynolds heading up to the Senior Bowl. That beautiful Mobile, Alabama weather, which we've had here for about 2 months. Feels like, no doubt. All right, so great stuff that Scott brought up. Let's chew on that for 3 minutes as we take a quick break. We'll come back. I've got I got a buddy of mine that was at the game in Detroit. Want to talk to him as well, see what that atmosphere was all alike. Those Lions fans were fantastic, much like the Bucks fans the week before against the Eagles. So we'll do that. We're brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. Get that insurance checkup, everybody. First of the year, January. It's a great time to do it. See if you can get some money off on your homeowner's insurance, which I'm sure has gone through the roof. There's some new companies coming in that they can get you with, and make sure that those companies are good companies. They don't mess with those fly-by-night companies. So save some money on your homeowner's insurance, your business insurance, your auto insurance. They did that for me. Great customer service at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. Back in 3.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. You might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
Let's go! Right now. Back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at American Mortgage Services. That's our good friend Clayton and Scott Fitzgerald. Rates are coming down, folks. So if you've been on the sidelines and you're waiting for them to get back into the 4s and 3s, don't wait. They can get you a great one in the 5s right now, probably low 6s. But while there's inventory, go out there and get it because once it gets down to the 4s, it's going to be a frenzy again. Prices are going to go through the roof. So get back in now and get the home that you want. The Geddes Gordon Group will get you the home that you need. Just call Jane Geddes through their website, thegeddesgordongroup.com, and call Scott or email him, Scott at AMS Tampa, Scott at AMS Tampa. That's Scott Fitzgerald at AMS Mortgage. So get in the game now while you still got some inventory and some houses to see. All right, let's get to some of the comments. We have our great group of commenters, some new people jumping in here today.
Lots of new people this week.
Yeah,
last week.
We did I think a record number on YouTube last week for us. So thank you all for joining us each and every day. We appreciate that. We'll get to the Rays stuff a little bit later. Bucks basement. They're excited about contending for the playoffs. Good luck with that. RJ Martin, question is why go for 2 when I call the timeout at the end of the game? I don't know. RJ, obviously stuff we just brought up with Scott. He's absolutely right about the going. I didn't have a huge problem with the going for 2, to be honest with you. I know the analytics say that, and they had a play it feel like they really liked. So to me, the timeout thing is much more egregious.
And again, you've been begging Todd Bowles to be aggressive all season.
Right. So I'm not gonna crush him for that particular one, because you can still make the 2 at the end. And at least if they make it, and they should have made it, you put the pressure on them, and I like it, and just in general. So I don't have a huge problem with it, but Scott's also has a good point in terms of momentum. But in that moment, not a huge problem with it. In series of 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, Lion territory, instead of a run, Baker double clutches and takes a sack. Should have been. Yeah, that was another one on that particular play. He's got to let that ball go. He had, I believe it was Evans, open on a quick slant, and he saw something. I'm just watching the TV copy, but he saw something that he didn't like in terms of the angle. So it's better to eat it there, I guess, or at least, but dirt the ball. You can't take a sack in that situation. I'd rather you dirt the ball. That was something that Brady was so good at. He just knew, like, if my first read's not there on this blitz, I'm just going to dirt it. I'll either throw it at him where he can catch it, or I'll dirt the ball, and you save the sack and save the hit. Yeah, this is the other one. Second half, 3rd and 4, field goal range, same one yet. Why not run? Bucks average 5 yards, so run twice or kick a field goal. Yep, I think there were times where they could have run the football more. And by the way, the thoughts on, at the end where Scott was talking about where they got 3 first downs, those were all running plays, if I'm not mistaken, and they were right at Devin White, who was in the game at the time, and they were going, as soon as Devin got in the game, they ran right at him, easy 8, 10, 12 yards. So the thought that, should Devin White have played more? My God, no. KJ Britt played well. Did he get beat on one coverage play? Yes, he did. He did. But Devin White was probably at fault on that first touchdown, although that's a tough play for a middle backer. I don't like the zone call there, but that's probably his play, which he wasn't even near the guy. He got exposed in the run game and to suggest that the 31-yard run by Gibbs, if Devin White was in there, he would have made the play, is laughable. It's laughable because the guy never gets off a block. And on that particular play, Levante probably over pursued on that rare misread by Levante. Logan Hall on the backside does not close down. Jahmyr Gibbs with that speed, man. That's where speed's a killer at the running back position. Nice cutback, and he's so good at finding that backside cutback. And Logan Hall's got to cut down that backside, left a huge hole open there. Levante over pursues, and then Winfield's coming up. He's a single safety, is a 2-way go for Gibbs, and you got 53 yards of space. It's like he's got no shot there, and that's where speed kills. So yeah, you just miss a run fit with a player with that kind of speed, and it beats you. But I got news for you: Devin White wasn't making that play. That's for damn sure. That Scott says that zero gap integrity. I think I saw an O lineman with no one to block on that play. Oh. Yeah, it was, and Levante even moves over to the right, to the defensive right, opening up that hole a little bit more right before the snap. So, and KJ was on the onside, so he wasn't that he has to protect to the outside there. He's not, cutback is not his play on that one. So
I saw a number of plays where the offensive line looked confused about where they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And who their assignment was. Several plays.
Yeah. Offensive line was confused on a lot of those blitzes. They should have been better. We talked a little bit about Canales. You also asked, who would replace him. And I think Scott mentioned, I think Thad Lewis, the quarterback's coach, is considered a rising star. And I would like to, and that if Canales goes to the Panthers, I would like to see some continuity here. I don't, I know there'll be some OCs that want to come coach Baker and Evans. And now that who the quarterback is and that Bowles is, a little bit, the seat's not as hot, you might have, but I would go for continuity. I would keep the offense, make Thad Lewis the play caller, and make him the OC. That would be my call. I think.
JP, what do you think the appeal is? And I'm not knocking the guy. I just don't know him very well, but what is the appeal for teams wanting Dave Canales? Like, what has he done? What has he showed teams? And I'm not saying he hasn't shown anything. I just don't know.
Well, I think he's just great in person. I haven't been to a lot of his press conferences, but a few this year, and I've watched them all. He's just super impressive in person. And, he said the other day, he didn't have to prepare for this interview. He's been preparing for 12 years, because Pete Carroll always taught them, hey, be ready when this call. Don't wait till you get the interview to get your head coaching package together and how you're going to interview. So I'm sure he had a freaking drop dead package ready to go. And he was super impressed because that's how he got this job. Dave Canales was like, nobody was mentioning him going into the OC search, but he went in there and knocked their socks off. And that's how he got the job. I'm sure he went in there and knocked their socks off in Carolina. And, a guy with charisma, you can feel it in the room. He says all the right things. He's a man of high character. He's a leader of men. I talk about this all the time. I don't care if you're OC, DC, special teams, whatever. Be a leader of men. That's what I see in Dan Campbell. That's what you see in the great coaches. And I'm not saying, Dave Canales is there yet, but I guarantee he knocked their socks off in the interview. Yeah. Does he have the resume to be a head coach? Probably not. By the way, the Titans just hired Brian Callahan, the Cincinnati OC. I think that just came over. So everybody's looking for the new young offensive mastermind. Everybody's chasing Sean McVay. Who's the next Sean McVay? Who's the next offensive guru that can change everything for you? And that's what they're chasing.
And by the way, that has an opportunity for some of these young guys to go south really quick. Think about one of the hot names 2 years ago for a head coaching job, Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
Offensive coordinator at the time of the Cowboys, and how everybody wanted a piece of him because he was 29 at the time.
Yeah.
Just an up and comer, and leaves Dallas, takes the OC job in LA with the Chargers. You don't even hear his name mentioned now from anybody.
Yeah. Byron Leftwich was that guy. Byron Leftwich was that guy after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He turned down the Jacksonville job. Yeah. It's sometimes it's not the OC, sometimes it's the players. And sometimes, and it just, chasing the young offensive guy, I think is completely misguided. Hire a leader of men and then let him put a staff together. Leroy Williams, new guy in here. Welcome. Wouldn't we have made the playoffs at the 7th seed anyway? We beat Green Bay head to head. I don't think it really matters. It's better to have a home game. And I agree with you, Leroy. Why not give time to build a team? No money last year. Listen, I agree with you. And I think that's a great space for him to be in. But what we're criticizing are his game management moves, which are at times criminal. You got to call that timeout at the end. You're going to fall back in zone defense in the second half, and they torch you for 3 touchdown drives. And you don't make any meaningful adjustments in that. They're just burning you in the middle of the field time and time again. So these are things that you have to criticize Todd for. And I don't think, and he can get better as a coach in terms of game management, and he will, hopefully. But will he be the one to see it through? I don't know. It's tough to win a Super Bowl. It really is. James says, we know how bad the NFC South will be. I have faith and light that he will draft well, keep Baker and Evans, sign a center in free agency. Bucks should win 10 games, keep building. Bucks next head coach will be Canales. That could be it. Maybe next year they comes around where they just, something happens and they don't have the faith in Bowles. Because I'm telling you, if they lose that game in Carolina, Todd Bowles is not the coach. He's not. And they very easily could have lost that game in Carolina. Very, very easily. For a couple of calls that went the Bucks' way, they could have lost that game. And I guarantee you, he would not have been the coach. There would have been a change. So let's not act like Todd Bowles is solidified himself for another 5 or 6 years because he won back-to-back division titles. There's a lot of nuance there. There's a lot of context there. Our good friend Paul Stewart, thank you for the mug, by the way. Buckpower.com. Says, according to some fans out there, if you don't win every game, blow it all up. It's moronic. You nailed it at the end of the last segment, JP. Keep building, keep drafting, keep upgrading. Absolutely. This is a time to build. Like Scott said, the Bucks are the Lions, last year. But they barely missed the playoffs. At least the Bucks got the the advantage of getting that playoff experience. These young players, they went through it, 2 games, they won one, and went on the road to play another. That's invaluable experience. So yeah, you don't blow it up, you keep building. Now, does Baker Mayfield want to go out and test the market and crush it and go with another team? I don't think he wants to do that. I really don't think he wants to do that. I don't think he should do that. There's mutual interest, make it happen. But, Baker needs to be cognizant of the money he takes. I don't think there's somebody out there waiting to give him, $200 million guaranteed or $150 guaranteed.
Yeah.
There's probably 95, 85. And by the way, his agent is not, I looked it up last night. TJ knows, and we'll have him on. We'll talk about this. Tom Mills, I believe, is his name. He doesn't have another quarterback in the league, so I don't think it's going to be one of these contract chasing guys that wants to get the next best quarterback contract because he has to do that for his agent reputation.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. I think that's a good thing for the Bucs. Air Cecil, you're new. Thank you very much for joining us. Ryan Neal was predictably bad and cost them again. White played very little and was equally as bad. There's no reason that Ryan Neal or Devin White should have ever seen the field. And they cost us every time they were on the field because Ben Johnson saw who they were out there and he targeted them. And this is one of the reasons. This is another knock on Todd Bowles. He likes to play favorites, plays guys that shouldn't be playing, and doesn't play other guys that should be playing. And that's just fact. James B., you're new. Just think if Mike caught that ball instead of it being intercepted. Huge change in momentum because he catches that ball. I believe they're near the 50 and they're in scoring range, and then you get out front instead of having that turnover and that huge momentum swing. Absolutely. And that's a ball that's right in his hands. It's right in his hands. Just didn't get his head around enough, and it kind of caught him, off guard. But you got to throw that hard, and you got to throw it there. So, that wasn't on Baker. We need Bryce Huff at edge. Our pass rush was non-existent. Yes, we need edge. We need edge big time. Could have taken an edge rusher instead of Devin White.
Yeah.
No flag on CJ, CGG, whatever, that guy, Gardner Johnson, after Evans dropped interception when he tossed the ball at Baker on the sideline. Not that it would have changed the game, but that one and the bigger one that should have been a call was Branch teabagging Kate Otten on 3rd and 14 after that play. That's a first down, and the Bucs are now rolling at midfield instead of punting it away in the fourth quarter. That could have been a huge, huge call. And that's almost as automatic as taking your helmet off. That's it. You stand over a guy and you teabag him. That's a foul every time. I
don't know how that didn't get called. I don't know how that got missed.
And I hate begging for calls like that, but why ain't you calling it? Why did you not throw the flag? Why are you throwing a flag on an obvious defensive pass interference when it's OPI? Why are you marking a ball 2 yards short of where the guy caught the ball on Trey Palmer's sideline catch? And you're not even making it a first down. That's an egregious error. There's so many egregious errors by these officials. It was bad. It was really bad. But you don't want to say that's the reason they lost. But they're just pointing out bad calls. That's the Canales question there. I swear I'm not better about the game or the season just ended up. It's just like the NFL's. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's
inexcusable.
The obvious calls. I know the fringe calls. Those things are going to happen. But blowing obvious calls, that's a head scratcher. It's just a head scratcher. And even on the 2-point conversion to Kate Otten or the touchdown where they wanted to call OPI again, Baker Mayfield had to come over and tell him no, it was within 1 yard, dummy. And then they overruled it because they had to. John Harbaugh got the Ravens head coaching jobs as a special teams coach. 16 years later, he's still the head coach with the Super Bowl and another possibly. Canales reminds me of him. Yeah. Again,
I agree.
Don't hire coaches because of what side of the ball they're on. They're going to fix your offense or fix your defense. Did Numbnuts out in Chargers lands, Staley, did he fix their defense? No, he didn't. And he wasn't a leader of men. And I can go through Josh McDaniels. I mean, all these offensive coaches that you think are going to be the next Sean McVay, but they don't know how to lead men. No, it's a foolhardy endeavor, in my opinion. Go find a leader of men, not a coordinator. You want to hire a coordinator to be a coordinator, not the head coach. TJC Cleveland was quietly behind the scenes last week interviewing offensive line coaches. Told me All I needed to know on Callahan getting a job. His dad is the offensive line coach in Cleveland. Expected to join his son. Yep. One of the great offensive line coaches in the game, too. The three of the remaining head coaches in the playoffs were ever a DC or OC before coming head. That's right. So, again, stop chasing the great coordinator. A lot to be said about the absolute. This one, I was waiting for Cade to uppercut that team. That's one way to stop it.
It's
That's
so
one
great.
way to stop it. If he gives you a target, take it. Take it. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, a good friend of mine went to the game. I want to get his perspective as a Bucs fan in that atmosphere up there. So we'll do that. We'll talk the Bolts at the Flyers tonight. Interesting game tonight, and the Bolts needing every single point they can get. And we got to talk about this Brady, Brock Purdy thing. This is laughable, and that fact it's coming out this week is even more laughable. Quick break. We're brought to you by Synovus Bank. They are the big bank with the local feel, folks. Some great folks work over there, like my buddy John Acosta has been there for a long, long time, been in local banking for 43 years. Not even that old. How's that even work? But they know what they're doing over there, folks. It's Synovus Bank, the big bank that makes you feel like a local neighborhood bank. That's Synovus.com. Tell them JP sent you. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com, or call 813-485-6808. Are you tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? Well, come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. Yeah, it's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages, and it's home to the Tampa Gator Club and Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome at any time. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour. Weekdays, get $4 White Claw vodka drinks and $4 White Claw seltzers, $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 with tons of specials and the fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have swag and ticket giveaways as well. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio, and come watch football in a tropical paradise all season long. It's 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio.
coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this, what do we call it, the tumultuous Tuesday?
That sounds about right.
Still reeling from the but
Yep.
Happy that it was a much better season than many had anticipated. I think we had a pretty good hold of this from the very beginning. We said 8, 9, 10 wins, win the NFC South, maybe win a playoff game, and it would be a huge success, and it was. And I thought Baker would have a really good year. I cashed on all his over props, did really, really well, and with Godwin as well. So yeah, it was a great year for the Bucs, and now it's just time to keep building. Do like the Lions.
Yep.
All right, do we have my good friend Stuart Levine on?
No, I need to try again.
All right, try again. See if
So
we can get him on.
vamp for a little bit while I try again.
I can vamp. I
I know you can.
So here's the deal on the Brock Purdy story. So evidently, this last offseason, the 49ers were thinking about kicking the tires on Tom Brady, actually bringing him in. So after Purdy leads the league in quarterback rating and everything else and takes him deep into the playoffs, they were seriously considering, after watching Tom Brady play for the Buccaneers, of going back to a guy who just did not want to get hit and could not get hit. I don't want to disparage the memory of Tom Brady. He's the greatest to ever do it, but he's done. He was done. And this is weird. Sometimes even the best coaches in the game can be a little blinded by, their childhood heroes, right? Or, trying to get, Arthur Blank trying to hire the greatest coach of all time and Bill Belichick, except he's not anymore. Brock Purdy did everything you wanted him to do. And here we are sitting here talking about this, the Final Four quarterbacks, and everybody is dunking on Brock Purdy like he sucks. And, okay, he's had a couple of bad moments. So has Patrick Mahomes. So has Josh Allen. It's just not a perfection business. Both teams get paid, and when you get to this level, there's going to be some issues. Is Brock Purdy limited? Is he Patrick Mahomes? No. Is he Lamar Jackson from an athletic standpoint? No. But he does a lot of great things. And yes, he has a talented team around him. And when Deebo Samuel has been out, they've struggled a little bit. Who doesn't struggle when they take your security blanket away, right? So there'll be some adjustments. But, I like where the 49ers are with Brock Purdy playing at home against the Lions team. That's great. That's a really good football team. I don't think they're as good as the 49ers. I think the 49ers pass rush is going to be something that they haven't seen, and they'll pressure Goff, and there'll be issues. So, we shall see. But the fact that they were even thinking about Brady over Brock Purdy,
It's hysterical.
Blows my mind.
Yeah.
Blows my mind. Do we have Stuart on?
We do.
All right. Stuart Levine, my friend,
Yes,
you went up to Detroit and braved that crowd. What was that atmosphere like? Take us
I will tell you that the atmosphere was amazing. They were great fans. When I got there, a couple of guys were kind of rough, but most people were very, very kind. They haven't won anything forever.
Right.
And I felt like they were super nervous. Like they wouldn't know what to do if they lost.
Right.
But the fans were great. The atmosphere in the building was awesome. Great game. Kind of glad we didn't win, be honest. I was afraid what would happen to me if I walked out the winner.
Because you wouldn't be able to shut your mouth knowing you.
No. I'd have been fine. No, trust me. I was a good boy. I wasn't looking to pick fights.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was nice and kept my eyes, didn't make any eye contact, kept my head down.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. That's respectful. Yeah. That's smart. That's respectful when you just take your dub or your L and you either way, just don't like the Lightning fan that got smoked by the Rangers fan a couple of years ago. It's never okay. It's never okay to hit anybody in that situation. It's a game, folks. Relax. But if you want to walk out of a team stadium running your mouth like a jackass, things could happen. I think you're bringing that on yourself to some degree. And so I think you're a smart man. Well done.
Stuart, what were you wearing to the game? Were you wearing a Bucks jersey, Bucks colors? What was the attire for the day?
I was totally bugged out. I had gray pants on, dark gray pants. I had a Baker Mayfield jersey on. I had a ski jacket that was black and red. I had my baseball hat on. I had a red bandana to put around my face because it was freezing cold. You knew I was a Buck fan. There was no.
That's awesome.
The game was indoors.
I was in the bar before the game, and first the bouncer says I couldn't come in because I was a Buccaneer fan, and we started teasing each other, and they let me in. And I sat down next to this really nice lady. She was a teacher, and people started booing. So I stood up, and I have this on my video. I should send it to you, JP. I stood up and I stopped the bar. I said, "Stop, stop, stop!" I go, "Show my people back in Tampa Bay what great sportsmen you are." And they all started booing, shooting fingers, screaming and yelling. I just put my phone across the room. It was hilarious.
Yeah, you sent me that video. It was good, but they weren't hostile. They weren't like Philly Jackass fans, right?
No. And you could see they were nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, they were literally nervous fans. They were so worried about losing. I don't think the Lions are that good. I think we made some mistakes. I think the Lions don't win in San Francisco. That game was definitely winnable.
Oh yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. And were there a lot of Buck fans there? I didn't see many.
That was the surprising thing. There were very few. You know, you can see red in a sea of blue very easily.
Right.
And I don't think there was 100 fans there.
Wow. Well, those tickets were not cheap, bro. I know you that had to be at least 4 digits, that ticket you bought.
Well, my end zone seat was pretty good. I got lucky. I got it kind of early. It was $800. Some of this stuff was $2,500, $3,000. I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, that this game was the most expensive divisional playoff game
Yes, it was.
for rebuy of tickets in NFL history.
Yeah, I think it was. It was the average price was at $1,100, and that was for the cheap seats. So, I mean, it was, but that's what happens when you have 32 years of futility, right?
Yeah. They haven't won a thing. And I felt good about them. I mean, honestly, the only time you could ever lose a game and actually feel good is when you look at a city like that that's been beaten down, Flint with their water problems.
Yeah.
You know, not a robust downtown at all, except for this night. Thank gosh I didn't go to the Red Wing game. Lightning lost that one too.
Yeah. No, I would have cursed you for that. All right, partner. Well, thanks for representing. You're a brave man. Did a hell of a job. So congrats and congrats to the Lions fans. So it's good to hear that there's still fan bases out there that aren't complete jackasses. So that's good to know.
They're few and far between at this point.
Yeah. Thanks, partner.
Appreciate it, fellas.
All right. Yeah, that's I kind of felt that after watching that game. I was like, you know what? That was a great football game. And if you're a Lions fan, you'll never forget that moment. This last 2 weeks, you'll never forget that. It's so long, the 90-year-old dude that was there in 57 when they won their last championship. Those are the great sports stories,
I love that.
I love that. That's when it's all good. And even when you lose, like the Bucs did, you are proud of the way they played. It wasn't a Saint situation. It wasn't even a Carolina situation. They played, they fought their asses off. They never quit. And, they weren't perfect, but it's a hell of a football game. And in a great atmosphere, that's the best of what sports can be, bringing a city together like Detroit and having something good to cheer about. In this world we live in, those moments are few and far between.
I mean, after the game, just to see Aiden Hutchinson just staying out on the field, staring into the stands, just to watch the fans and how they were reacting. And they're in tears.
Yeah.
Some of them were ugly face crying. I mean, and I get it. But just to see Aiden Hutchinson just soaking that in that moment. Yeah. That just tells you how great that was for the team, for the city. It's a feel-good story. I feel bad for the Bucs, obviously, because they lost. But at the same time, man, that's a feel-good story in sports, and we need more of those.
Oh, totally agree. 100%. All right, let's I'm going to hear from Mike Evans if we can. This is a little 2-minute post game from Mike Evans, and you can hear in his voice without question that he wants to run this back with Baker. Here's Mike Evans post game.
About the fight that this team did showcase all season when everyone said a lot of people counted y'all out.
This is one of the better teams that I've been a part of, especially being resilient. I mean, we fought hard all year. We lost 4 or 5 in a row. And nobody better than us. We kept playing hard each week for each other, and it was cool to be a part of.
And I know your future here is uncertain, but how important is that type of mentality to carry over year after year?
Oh, it's important. This was our first year with our offensive coordinator, first year with Baker. A couple new guys on defense. I mean, it's Just gotta, I don't know, man. Just gotta come back stronger next year.
Mike, is this an example of how important it is to be able to play home games in the playoffs in that environment out there?
Nah, I mean, it was an amazing environment. That didn't have anything to do with
I didn't
us.
feel
I mean,
like that home field.
Them and the energy,
was
like, we
huge.
fed off their energy. Like, it was great, but we just didn't make enough plays in the end. It had nothing to do with the crowd.
How much would you like to be back next season and be a part of
I would love to be back. I love Tampa Bay. Been here my whole career. The city has been great to me. The franchise has been unbelievable to me and my family, and I love this place. So we'll see.
The make that happen. This season with Baker, and of course the day that you had today with Baker to have the types of content you did.
Baker's a hell of a player, and he showed everybody that he's criminally underrated. And I
Criminally
was happy when we signed
Wow.
him. I knew he'd be a great player for us.
How much do you want him back next year?
So what?
How much do you want him back next year?
I mean, he played his way into a big contract, I believe. So we'll see.
Yeah,
There's
he
going to be a
did.
lot of. It's early. We just lost, so I'm really just thinking about that. But in the off season, hopefully we can all come back together and do it again.
Like every story, every season has a story, and this one is adversity right down the stretch. How close this one came. Is this unlike any other year you've experienced in the uniform?
No, I mean it was similar to some seasons that I've been a part of. But like I said, it was fun to be a part of this group. I really took it all in this year and enjoyed my time with the young guys and just getting it out the mud.
It's Mike Evans right there. You can tell how much he wants to come back and be reunited with Baker Mayfield. Again, you could do a lot worse than Evans to Mayfield to Evans. I mean, and just think about year two. I mean, think that throw on the touchdown on that skinny post. I mean, that is an absolute laser, and it's indefensible. You cannot defend that play, and that's all about timing. It's all about chemistry. Being able to high point that ball. It takes a season to get there. You don't want to throw that away.
Yeah.
And there's so many examples of that. Just think about how Trey Palmer was coming on at the end of the year. Godwin's going to be here for another year at least. So I know a lot of people he may not be around long. We'll see. But it makes no sense to try and blow it up. Now, again, if Baker wants to take more money someplace else, is there another place that's going to, back up the Brinks truck for him? I don't think so. It's a perfect fit, and he shouldn't mess around with it. Tristan Wirfs is a guy that is, I think, grown up before our eyes and is starting to take control of this team as a leader. And it's absolutely crucial that he do so. He is the guy. He's got the gravitas. He is the player. He's got the great temperament. And I just love where he's at. So let's listen to him talk about this team and it moving forward. This is post-game as well.
Yeah, I thought, I was really proud of everybody, the whole season. Had some ups and downs, but we were resilient. It could have gone the other way fast, losing 6 out of 7. But, we rallied together and ended up in the divisional round. A lot of people didn't expect us to be there, but there we were, fighting for it. So, we fought till the end, and I was really happy with that.
What was key to getting this group of guys to turn things around?
I think just coming to work every day. I say it all the time: attitude and effort. That's what we can control. Coming out to practice every day, and just with the mentality that we're still getting better. We're still growing. It's just taking that every day and just doing our best.
Where do you think this team needs to build off of this season? Where would you like to see them build into next year?
I think one, we're just finishing in the red zone. I think that's just the first one that comes to mind.
That's play calling.
It's all
chemistry.
technique stuff. It's all stuff that can be corrected. It was never an effort thing. It was never guys slacking or anything like that. So it's all fixable. So that's the good part.
As good as the offense was this year, obviously there's a lot of questions in the offseason about who may come back, but the idea of bringing back the support group with the same offensive coordinator and quarterback, the optimism has to be pretty high.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just, another year in the system, same system, getting more confident, everyone getting more confident, us growing together. It's our first year at Dave's offense. So just doing our best to, Buck's doing their best to bring everybody back and see what we can do from there.
With the offseason now, obviously the business side does come into it. How I guess nerve-wracking is it to kind of follow along and see who is coming back and who isn't?
Yeah, I think this year it'll be just knowing we want to get guys back and knowing who's going to hit the market and everything. When does that happen? When is it? March. Oh, we got time. We got time. We got time. I'll be busy in March. Yeah, we got time. So I think it'll all fall into place.
Yeah, it's Tristan Wirfs right there. Post game, you just unanimous on this team, and I know publicly they're not going to say, we got to blow it up, but I think you can tell that Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield, Tristan Wirfs, the leaders of this team, they're invested. They're invested in staying in Tampa Bay and building something here. And I think you're a Buck fan. You're in a great situation because look at some of the jamokes around the league. These idiots. And we're getting rid of Devin White. He's one of them. He's one of them. The way we played that this year is one of I think the worst things that Todd Bowles did, the organization did. It was clear as day in the offseason that this guy didn't want to be here. And why you kept him around, you thought you could turn him. He said the right things after the meeting, and he dogged it all year long. He's not a good player. He's got a very low football IQ. He will loaf at times. He's emotional. He thinks he's way better than he is. He doesn't get off blocks. He can't get off blocks. As simple as that. You cannot play linebacker in this league and not get off blocks. And you got Todd Bowles talking about, KJ Britt being your best thumper and your best downhill guy. He doesn't play for the first 13 games of the year, hardly 12, whatever. He's been hiding him and playing this guy who just can't play. He will be addition by subtraction without question. So I think this team is together, which you don't see a lot. The Bowles has done a great job of keeping everybody together and keep fighting. That's one of the things I really I think is probably his greatest attribute, that he keeps, even though that flat performance against the Saints was weird. But he's done a great job of rallying these teams. At 4-7, most guys are making business decisions and they're done. And maybe the fact that this was a young team and they were building helped you in that regard, because guys are still trying to build their resumes. Veterans will check out at that particular time, but our veteran group aren't, that's not the way they're made, except for Devin White. The rest of the guys are all in, and that's big. That's big. When you got a team that's building together like this, they'll have a good offseason. Guys will be in there working. They won't be, everybody taking a different cab to some other place to do their individual workouts. So nobody's doing that. So I like that. I like the vibe of this team, and I think they can move together, move forward together in that way. So
sure. Well, and was it Scott the one saying that he thinks that the Bucks are a year behind the Lions, right, where the Lions were last year?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
Another year of these guys growing together, another year of these, especially Baker and Evans, playing together. And I think you've got something special.
And isn't it interesting? Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield, right? Jared Goff was very much, when he got traded, he was a placeholder, right? It's like the Lions were taking him because they didn't have any other quarterback. They'll go find one. They'll use all the draft picks and oh, wait a minute. This guy can play.
Yeah.
This guy can really play. And I think you could say the same thing about Baker. A lot of people written him off, and now they're like, oh, wait a minute, this guy can play. So now, maybe Jared Goff is the answer. Maybe Baker Mayfield is the answer. Okay. Yep. And somebody asked me about this. Where is it? To ask Scott about this. I can answer this for you, Meets McGee. Is Baker a two-read passer, or is it the lack of trust on the O-line? Throughout the year, there are plays he's either takes a sack or he forces it. I think it's a great question. And this is what continuity brings you. The great quarterbacks, the longer they're in an offense, that second and third read on that play, it's just reps, bro. It's just reps. And you get to year two in the same offense, and you're repping it all off season, that front side, and then you're coming back to the backside. It's like playing a guitar. It's like playing a piano. The more you do it, it becomes almost subconscious. And those second and third reads that Brady was always so good at. It's just like boom, boom, boom. It becomes faster when continuity. You got to start all over again in a new offense. You're starting at ground zero, and you're going to build back up. So take year 2, and that's what Mike Evans was talking about, man. These guys know they've been through switches in offenses. In year 2, you really can take a huge jump. So that's why continuity is so much more important in this particular, especially when it comes to quarterback, offense, receivers. I mean, yeah, they jumped. I think in terms of points, they scored, I think, 2 or 3 points more per game. It's a better offense than last year. And I think they make, an even bigger jump in year 2, especially if you can go out and get a free agent center to replace Hainsey, who at times is just a real liability, maybe improve the left guard position. And you got to get maybe one more playmaker, see if you can go find a guy in a running back in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round that's got, breakaway speed. It's something that, Jason Light has had a bit of a blind spot for. But Rachaad White's a winner. That was a great pick.
Tony Pollard's about to be on the market for you.
Ooh.
We'll get you Tony Pollard.
Well, you don't like Tony Pollard, though.
I like Tony Pollard, but I don't not in the role that the Cowboys are asking him to play.
Not as RB1.
Not as RB1. And
He's
said
RB2.
That when everybody said, get rid of Zeke, play Tony more, I'm like, y'all are not going to like the result. And boom, here we go. He's coming off the franchise tag for the Cowboys, and if it gets into a bidding war, they're not going to pay him a lot of money, and they shouldn't.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's not. I don't want a guy that you have to pay $6 or $7 million. You got to find that guy in the draft, man. Yep. There's a lot of good ones,
like the Cowboys did with him.
Yeah, exactly. You can find those guys in the draft, but Jason Light hadn't been able to hit on the 3rd and 4th round guy. Is Sean Tucker that guy in year 2? He had a little heart issue coming in. Didn't really get a preseason. Saw some flashes here and there, but never really got the. By the way, Chase Edmonds was a nice little. Mm-hmm. He was a nice little ad. He's had some nice moments, and I'm not saying that you want to get rid of him either. I mean, I think he was banged up, and it really came on. He made some nice plays in the end of the year. I like the change of pace, and he's a veteran guy. TJC says there's also a front and back side. Sometimes guys aren't even in the progression, used as a clear out for a corner or a safety sitting in space. You can find guys open in every game. It's where and when. But yeah, absolutely. It just comes with reps. It absolutely comes with reps. No question about it. And that's why I want to see this team kept together. And don't forget, they've got some free agent dollars to deal with. They can go out and get some guys, especially, depending on how they do with Baker. That's a big thing. It's going to be a big thing. Well, Baker Mayfield.
And talking about continuity like you were, that also means you really need Dave Canales back.
Yeah.
I really hope he's available for you.
That's not going to be our decision. If the Panthers want to hire him, Dave would be crazy not to take it, in my opinion.
Yep.
I mean, I think it's a loser job, the situation he's in, but you get an opportunity to be a head coach in this league. You don't say no. Ask Byron Leftwich. Speaking of TJ Reeves, did we speak of TJ Reeves, our Bucs sideline guy, jumping in here on a Tuesday? A bit of disappointment. You were in the building. You can give us a slice of what that place was like.
Certainly. First of all, good to be with you. Sorry I'm a little delayed. Again, full disclosure to the audience, you do your live show. I'm doing a live college basketball handicapping show every day at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And I'm trying my best to get off the live show while they're still asking about St. Bonaventure and Duquesne. I'm like, come on, privately. I got to get to my man, JP, and I cannot I cannot delay for St. Bonaventure and Duquesne to be the discussion. It's not exactly.
No, wow. Money comes first. They pay you more than I do. So
that is deep in the college basketball repertoire.
That is in the
there.
Weeds big time. All right. So first of all, I may get my hearing back by February. It was loud at Ford Field, but the Bucs did an overall pretty good job of handling it. As you pointed out, and you've done a great job laying stuff out. I caught the beginning of your show as well. They didn't have any false starts. They didn't have any pre-snap penalties with the false start. They handled that part. He was able to change the play numerous different times and get them into a better play. The Lions just made more plays at the end of that game, and they fed off that crowd. I know it's getting a lot of attention, and you've covered it about the kneel downs at the end. Let me just give you my perspective from down there on the field.
Yeah.
I knew the math was 12 seconds left, even with the timeout, if they take the full amount of time. I have to confess to you that on the first kneel down, I didn't realize they had not taken the full amount of time.
Yeah.
I understand,
didn't
and
either
it's,
till
and
after
it's
the game,
valid criticism that's what your coaching staff gets paid for, to pay attention to. Hey, wait a minute, coach, click the headset on or go over and grab him and say, they didn't take the full 40 seconds there on the kneel down. We might have something by taking the time out with time left. So you've done an excellent job articulating it. I understand the criticism. By the same token, you had the ball and you threw an interception.
Yep.
By the same token, they're going to kick a field goal there to put the game away.
Mhm.
As you articulated earlier, it's probably like an 80% chance he's going to make that kick in easy conditions inside. It's not a guarantee. So there's a lot of what ifs at the end of that game. The Bucs showed a lot of fight. The Lions were just better. You said that. Many others have said that. The Lions played better overall in the fourth quarter. They deserved to win. They fed off the home crowd. So there's some of what I can add to what we've been discussing, what you've already been discussing.
Well, another thing you could add, TJ, is because you're around the team in the locker room, and you see the togetherness of this team. And I think there's valid points on both sides. Do you want to, go get some new faces? Maybe if Baker, wants to hold them hostage, you just go draft a quarterback. You move on from Mike Evans, get younger, continue to, I can see that. But my feeling is this team is two together. Continuity wins in this
Amen.
league. Baker Mayfield's not old, and Mike Evans is playing like a 25-year-old, for God's sakes. So I say you keep the band together and you build on this. Absolutely, right?
And okay, so let's just go from what's the simpler, smarter thing. If you're Baker Mayfield, why do you want to start over in situation number 5 somewhere else?
Hell no. Hell
with
no.
what you just did here, and you're a conquering hero right now. Why do you, you make a deal. You and your agent make a deal. And it's interesting. You and I were talking off the air. His agent isn't a well-known agent, but it's an agent that's been with him since Oklahoma and has Oklahoma ties. His brother, the agent's brother, was involved with the Oklahoma football program. I believe Baker will be reasonable and will understand you're going to get some huge guaranteed money probably for next year to stay in this situation, and now build around it. Bring Evans back, build around with offensive linemen and other things, and he can be a conquering hero in this town. I again repeat, why do you want to start over in a 5th different situation if you're him? That's my thought on that.
And I think we haven't talked enough about this, because you can nitpick Baker's numbers all you want. The one thing he does so well is win in the fourth quarter. He has, finding guys that can do that is not easy.
That's right.
And he does not care, about
Atlanta game, to your point, won in the fourth quarter with him leading the winning touchdown drive. And he was not very good in that whole game. But when the money was down, you won the game. Fourth quarter at Lambeau, brilliant.
Yep.
Again, the ugliness of the Carolina game, but he got you in position to get the field goal to put you up by more than a touchdown.
The Houston game
at the end.
Yeah.
And then you even look at that game, you had chances. I know he threw the interception at the end, and the crushing thing is that was not at the very end. There's a minute and a half left. It's second down.
Yeah.
You have a timeout left. He just didn't see the guy over the middle. It happens. It's motivation for next year. I think Evans will be back ultimately. Again, he loves this community, and he's going to get paid. They have the money to pay him now. I submit again, we talked so many times on your show how there was such low expectation because this team had $80 million in dead cap, which is more than any other team. The only other 2 teams that made the playoffs with at least $60 million in dead cap were the Rams and the Eagles, $60 million. 15, 20 million less than the Bucs.
Yeah.
So you now have that to spend, and Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield and Antoine Winfield are going to get a lot of that, but they're worth it. You can still manipulate it with signing bonuses. We don't have time to go into all the salary cap stuff, but you can manipulate their cap number while still paying them ridiculously. They will get paid by the Buccaneers coming up, and keep that core together. And I think there's a lot of excitement. And just one more time, this is not you saying this. There were a lot of people that doubted that this wasn't going to be a disastrous season. This has to be viewed as a successful season. You won the division. Yeah. You won a playoff game.
Got that
Timmy,
experience.
I'm sorry. The Dallas Cowboys don't usually win playoff games for all the money they spend and all the hype. You don't think they'd like to win some playoff games in some different places like Cleveland or like Buffalo? I mean, they're hurting again in Buffalo because they can't win at home with the Chiefs. So be happy with this. Be happy with this.
TJ taking a swipe at IndyCar Tim on the way out.
I'm just
Man, I'm
saying.
used to it. I'm an Aggies fan and a Cowboys
He
fan. I get it up from both
He
sides.
knows, and we're lovable. We're glad that we could give the Cowboys a road playoff victory for the one time, apparently in 30 years, that they get those. We gave you one of those a year ago.
Exactly.
With Tom Brady, and it's the last game for Tom Brady, and it is fascinating. I love all this talk and all the stuff that comes out. Yeah, well, San Francisco was going to make a run at Tom Brady, a year ago, and everybody wanted to make a run at Tom Brady. The biggest part
Did they
of
not watch his last year with the Bucs, for God's sakes?
True, but this is before last season. But the other big thing is Tom Brady was still under contract with the Buccaneers, and they were going to have to let him go somewhere else or trade him, or they were going to put him on the reserve retired list if he wouldn't cooperate, because he was still under contract with the Bucs.
Right,
while Miami and San Francisco and anybody else wants to make a run in that instance. So it will be fascinating to watch what happens with that Lions team on the road. Now, good luck at San Francisco.
I like San Francisco,
and
I like
Purdy's not going to play a bad game 2 games in a row, I don't think.
And as we've seen, they've already scripted it because they had the everybody's seen the little promo that went out, right? The San Francisco versus the Ravens. It's already been figured out. So
the number one
writers.
seed. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Hey, listen, it was great to be part of the playoff experience, the road experience at Detroit. They were better. The Bucs still fought hard and had chances in a 17-all game in the fourth quarter. There's a lot to be proud of.
Hell yeah.
I don't want this to be the end, you and me. Well, I'll come back when you need me. Put the bat signal up.
Yeah.
Let me know.
We got Duquesne and Southwest Missouri to talk about, bro.
Let's talk some St.
We're
Bonaventure.
breaking down Fresno and Boise State, and I know my man JP's going, where is TJ? Where is TJ while we're talking about the Mountain West? But I got in here. Always good to be with you.
Always.
I'll be back whenever you need me in this offseason.
All right, let's go. We'll start talking draft.
Raise, draft, whatever you need. Good to be with you, my friend.
All right,
we can go 20 minutes late and talk about DePaul firing Tony Stubblefield if you want.
Yes, I need
that. Stubblefield was coaching
Tony Stubble. I need that distinct breakdown of Bradley and Illinois State that we were going over a little while ago.
I literally have not watched one college basketball.
You got to get into it a little bit, and we're deep in the weeds on this show. But it's good to be with you.
All right, partner.
And let's see what happens here in the offseason. You guys be well.
Thank you, TJ Reeves. Yeah, mock drafts are out, and Bucky Brooks has the Bucs taking Keon Coleman from FSU. So there we go. We got a whole offseason to talk about now. Let's go. Timmy, thank you very much. Our thanks to Scott Reynolds and TJ Reeves. If you missed anything, don't forget, you can always get this as a podcast on Apple and Spotify. Please subscribe there. You can listen there if you missed the show. Always on Twitter, on Facebook, and our YouTube channel. Please subscribe on our YouTube channel. We got 100 new subscribers in the last month, so that's great. Appreciate you guys watching. We will be back tomorrow with more fun and frivolity. We'll see you then.